On this episode of the Exactly How podcast and YouTube show, we uncover how Ken builds skyscrapers and how it applies to any form of real estate investing.
You're listening to the Exactly How podcast, where you'll hear the underground, closely guarded wealth building secrets of successful people around the globe. Discover exactly how to improve your mental, physical, and financial health. Feel better, make more money, live, give, and prosper in today's exciting, fast-paced world filled with opportunity for those who know exactly how.
Welcome to the Exactly How podcast and YouTube show, brought to you by Connected Investors. During this episode, Ken will demonstrate how he builds skyscrapers and how it relates to all real estate investors in our business. For those of you who are new, my name is Sean Young, today's proud host and member of the Connected Investor community. Now, before I introduce you to our next guest speaker today, I want to make a request that if at any point during the show you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up or hit that like button so that you don't miss an episode. And make sure to take a look in the description of this episode, as we've packed it with thousands of dollars in free giveaways. Today, we have the privilege to learn from a man who has accomplished something that so many people would think is impossible. Prior to his career as a skyscraper expert, he was the project supervisor to a CEO. But all that changed when he discovered how to earn big in real estate development, building a $17 million assisted living facility with no money. I would describe our next guest as relentless in achieving goals and assisting in someone's personal transformation. His name is Ken Van Liew. Ken, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Oh, you're welcome, Sean. It's my pleasure. I love working with you guys. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ken, I'm excited about this episode.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Let's rock it.
Let's do it. Now, guys, before we dive exactly into how to build skyscrapers, Ken, you contribute a lot of your personal success to your perseverance, your unlimited energy, and your diversity to overcome challenges. Why do you think this has played such a huge role in your success?
I guess I was the underdog when I started, and my parents gave me, a lot of enthusiasm, wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. But I was one of those guys that hit it hard, and then finally started to realize the distinctions and the systems that I was doing. And then it became a little bit easier. So I could say that I work a little smarter now, but it was just that constant, waking up at 5 a.m. and going to bed at midnight every night for probably 25 years. Just that relentless pursuit of freedom, and being able to give back,
So you're saying it didn't happen for you overnight, in other words?
No, my famous saying is overnight success takes 30 years, no question about it. And then it's like a quantum leap, it's just things happen so quick, it's kind of shocking and it's so exciting,
Absolutely. Ken, I think that is huge for our listeners because, so many folks are, kind of get discouraged if they don't see results right away. So guys, Ken is telling you he put in years and years and years to build what is now a successful business. So never give up on your dreams and goals, guys.
Yeah. I was on the 6-year plan in college, and I met my wife taking calculus 2 the third time.
Wow.
She taught me some study skills, but one of the things that, I was an athlete, so, I just kept hitting the gridiron every day,
There you go. There you go. Well, guys, what makes the Exactly How Financial Freedom podcast and YouTube show unique is that every episode comes with a detailed action plan. We pull out the steps of each show and create a blueprint on how to exactly implement each process that we're covering. All you have to do is visit connectedinvestors.com/free to get the key takeaways, the resources, and free gifts that Ken has generously allowed us to give to you today. Now, as millions of people know, Connected Investors is a social network of real estate investors and a marketplace of investment properties. In the description of this video, I've included a link to this episode's forum discussion. Tap on that link, ask me and other pros questions, and see what other investors are saying about this particular episode. Plus, you're going to get our free training right now. You can also text the word exactly to 910-600-0630. Again, you can text the word exactly to 910-600-0630. This is how I make my money. You can find properties in any town for pennies on the dollar. This is the software that I use every single day, guys. Ken, let's dive into the steps to successfully launching your own skyscraper building business.
Sure. I don't want that to be overwhelming because, if you were to look at it from a different view, let's just assume you were building 30 houses on top of each other, right? So what I'd like to say is that what I found in learning from the top down, like no pun intended, kind of coming from building skyscrapers and then having some experience in residential where I did like 130 deals in 1 year, I realized that everything that I did doing skyscrapers applies across the board in any type of real estate. So no matter whether you're in commercial or skyscrapers, multifamily, doing entitlement work, we're doing some approvals, whether it's a wholesale, fix and flip, buy and hold. The three principles that always apply in my system is, you have to find the deals, you have to fund the deals, and you have to facilitate them. The beauty of those things, which, may sound like, well, I find deals all day long. I do it with an automated system. Yes, you can do that in residential, but when you're looking for skyscrapers, it's not quite as easy and you just plug into a software. A little bit more involved with how to find them, a little bit more how to fund them because you got a few extra zeros attached. And facilitating them is a process that even though I say building 30 houses on top of each other is a little repetitive, you have to know what you're doing because there's a much smaller margin for error when you're dealing with the larger numbers, So the beauty of it is it's a little bit of extra theory and work. But the best part of it is it applies across the board and you can do any type of real estate. You then have the selection of the full gamut.
Awesome, Ken. Well, before the show, we broke it down into those actual 3 steps that you mentioned, find, fund, and facilitate. Could you dive just a little bit deeper on how someone could find a skyscraper deal or, how someone would find a deal like this?
Yes, sure. Well, in New York City, for example, there's a thing, and you've probably heard of it, assemblage, right? So a lot of those times where you see all these slender buildings, there's people behind the scenes like myself that are working to put 3 of those little slender 25-foot buildings so that I eventually have a 75-foot by 100-foot lot, right? And I go in and I cherry pick and I find things and I start these processes and eventually they land on things, Through that process, I meet a lot of, people. And by having a certain presentation, because you've always heard location, location, location. Well, for finding high rises, it's presentation, 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 Okay. And once you kind of get the little nuances and learn the system and kind of get into the proximity, because proximity is power, you start to find what you're looking for. And that's kind of the first part. Now, the presentation, a lot of times opens the door to speak to the right people. Ideally, in this situation, you're talking to family offices and institutional money and Wall Street monies and things like that. And, I'm not saying that I wear the $1,000 suits anymore. You could see I didn't dress to impress today, but it's not about what you wear, but it's about being able to have a conversation with those Wall Street investors, those bankers, being able to dress up your act if you have to, throw a tie on and really just hit it and having 100% certainty in what you're doing, right? Because, when you're talking about funding that kind of deal, it's like, and I say to myself, hey, I'm a site safety manager. I'm a licensed professional engineer. I built several 100,000 square foot buildings. I'm going to secure the job with a sub-guard program. They give me the money, and my investors like it because I started in the business hands-on. I grew up as a super, like telling them how to pour the concrete, shooting the survey instrument, telling the trades what to do, and then drawing down $10 million in the afternoon on a bank loan, So, that's how you have to do it. You got to educate yourself across the board. Now, facilitation, like anything else, whether you're doing wholesaling and you want to increase your bandwidth with wholesaling, you got to have systems, right? Facilitation of a high rise is, you got to build it on paper, right? You got to go through and how you're going to do this, the foundation and the superstructure is going to take you 3 months and the skin's going to go on right after, and how you're going to scaffold, and what the site logistics are. So there's a very extensive, what I call building on paper process before the shovel goes in the ground. And the facilitation of a skyscraper, which is beautiful, and I mentioned top-down thinking, is when you build $100 million skyscraper, it's like building a $100 million building, because the legality of buying the property, you're dealing with lawyers, the financing, the bankers, the accounting, the job costing, the engineers, the architects, all the administration downtown, Department of Buildings, and the beauty of it is it leads to every day being different, and that's the passion behind it.
Gotcha. So it's never a dull day in your world.
Never a dull day. Every day's different. Yeah. It's, most, AD, whatever it is, it's like one day you'll be doing, a foundation on a deal. The other day I'm maybe in a planning board meeting trying to get entitlement. I was in the concrete business in New York. We used to have over 100 guys on the payroll, and it was exciting,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ken, what advice do you have for someone that's new to the industry, or, they may be thinking of, going into a different direction as far as the commercial industry is concerned, and they're maybe wanting to get into the exactly field that you're in, which is skyscraper building. Is there something that they should probably do before they hit that path?
Yeah. I mean, my belief is, and by human nature, because traditional learning, kind of teaches you to go on an ascension path, and I just, by happenstance, I guess you could say, was thrown onto a skyscraper one day, and they were like, hey, you're in an 18-month program and you're going to be a site safety manager one day. I'm like, okay. And I had 600 guys running around. Next thing you know, I'm telling them what to do. And, I learned from the top down. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't be, don't overwhelm, take that word out of your dictionary, right? The feeling of putting your arms around a 1,200-pound gorilla is something you should really get excited about, right? Don't be afraid to, start to learn something that's so confusing, because the next time you look at it, it's going to be a little less confusing. And then the next time it's going to be a little bit better understanding. And you can start, in commercial, or you can go for a multifamily, or you can hook up with a developer in New York City and go for skyscrapers. And you're not going to lose any time, right? You're going to get invaluable benefit from that experience. And, I guess what I would say is, just take on the courage, have the courage as a beginner. Don't be afraid. That's my advice,
That's great advice, Ken. I mean, you're basically saying, don't think you're going to be an expert from day one, but who knows? You don't sell yourself short. Get out there, familiarize yourself with what's going on, and put yourself in the game.
Exactly. You never know what you could have done. Like I say to myself, wow, if I didn't go meet that skyscraper guy at 6:30 in the morning, 3 times a week, waking up at 4:30 to get there, I never would have, if I didn't make that decision. And that was courage, and just don't be afraid, because sometimes you don't know how it looks. And there's a lot of people out there that are, like myself, we're perfectionists. My philosophy is done is better than perfect, right? Just get it done. Just take a step. You can't see around a corner if you don't get to that first corner, right? And if you're looking over here diagonal and there's a building in the way, don't be afraid that you can't see there. Just take that step to the first corner.
I love that mentality, Ken. That's something that I share on this show quite often, which is stop worrying about step 8 if you're on step 1.
Exactly.
Worry about step 2. You'll get to step 8. You'll be surprised at how magically it just unfolds itself as you just walk on that journey.
Well, I had to learn from my famous paralysis analysis. Like how many times are you going to analyze that deal? Okay.
Now, guys, as a reminder, at any point in the show you like what you're hearing, please give us a thumbs up so that you can subscribe to the show so that you don't miss an episode. Your engagement is what keeps us doing this show for the community for free. Now, Ken, what do you think your life would be like if you had never had the awakening in real estate development and you were still in your past career as a project supervisor?
Wow. That would have been interesting, because, after 6 years of struggle, I finally got a civil engineering degree, and I'm embarrassing to say, but it took me 5 times before I passed the PE test. And then when I finally passed the PE test, I was making more money as a project supervisor, so I could never be an engineer. So I was like, I had twins. I couldn't afford to buy formula and diapers. I was like, holy, what am I going to do now? So, if I didn't go into construction and start to think like, were these, is it the luck of the draw, just being born into the family, or can I actually learn how to do this, And, as I started building these projects for these developers, I was like, wow, they have this system and they do that. And, it's just taking one step at a time,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ken, I'm telling you, I've enjoyed this show. You are a wealth of knowledge. And, I'm loving, everything that you've been laying out for us today. And I really thank you for taking that time. We've come now to the part of the show that we call the rapid fire session. And this is where I ask you a number of questions and you give me your first response that comes to mind.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. Well, let's do it. On a scale from 1 to 10, how strict were your parents?
They were about a 7.
Okay. Get up early or stay up late?
Both.
Okay. How many hours of sleep do you get each night?
It was 5 for 20 years. Now it's about 6.5. I wear a sleep ring right here because I gotta work on my sleep.
I've got to get one of those. I've heard those are pretty cool. I've got to grab.
They are.
All right. Favorite or last book that you've read?
The Formula.
Okay. Do you recall the author of that book?
Alexander something. Would it be?
Got it.
But it's a pretty fascinating book, The Formula. It's and also Black Box Thinking was another extraordinary book I just read.
Okay. 2 great titles for us out there.
Yes.
Now, if you could be any superhero, Ken, who would it be?
I was always a Superman lover.
Okay. Something everyone should do less of.
Talk. Listen more.
Something everyone should do more of.
Be friendly. Help someone.
Great one. Now, will people live on Mars in your lifetime?
I don't think so.
Okay. If you could go back in time, what year would you go to?
79.
79. Best investment you've ever made?
I would say in my family. I have extraordinary kids. I'm so proud. I'm going to just 2 seconds. My son is a U.S. Marine intelligence officer. His twin sister just married a doctor. They're going to be 28 this week. I called them the Twin Towers when they were born. And my youngest is doing her MBA. She's an internet marketer and also a photographer. And I'm just so proud of my kids. That's been my most successful investment. And my beautiful wife, I was married 32 years this week.
Man, I love it. I love it. Guys, are you hearing this? This is why this man is successful. Do you understand this? This is why he's successful. He's got it in line.
Yeah.
What were you like in high school?
Very outgoing and sport jock and womanizer.
Well, guys, you've made it to the end of the show. Most people don't finish what they start, so you're special. Now, if you got any value out of this show, please share it with a friend, tag someone, embed it on your YouTube or Facebook page. And until the next episode, guys, you can catch me on the inside of Connected Investors. See you there.
The Connected Investors app connects you with investors, notifies you of available properties, helps locate cash buyers, and secure private funding to close deals. Set up in seconds to become a member of the Connected Investors social network. Now you can scroll through your main feed to find cash buyers, see investment properties not available to the general public, and network with investors by adding your own comments to a thread to keep the conversation going. The Control Center is your connection to add properties to sell, start new discussions, connect with local investors, and even find private funding. The Notifications tab will keep you alerted to new investment properties and offers. You'll also find new friend requests to connect directly with the community to build your network. From the property marketplace, you'll be able to find, favorite, and make offers on investment properties. Download Connected Investors today to find, figure, fund, and flip investment properties on the go.